we are talking about the Paul Newman Daytona. We all know one of the most famous Rolexes, the Rolex that sold for the most amount of money in the history of the world. And we actually have one here today, but it's not the one that you guys think it is. It's a modern version of the Paul Newman. It's still amazing, super rare, beautiful. You'll see it. It's an amazing watch. All right, so before we jump into this beautiful timepiece that we have here for you guys today, let's talk a little bit of history behind the connotation of the Paul Newman Daytona. So Rolex became the official timepiece or chronograph of the Daytona racetrack down in Florida in the 1960s. During the 1960s, while they had come out with the Daytona model, it just wasn't picking up as much traction as they'd like, up until one of the famous race car drivers at the time, Mr. Paul Newman / movie star, started wearing his. So his wife gifted him in 1963 this Daytona, and Paul literally never took it off. I know some watch guys that will never take off their watch, and I can tell usually when they bring them in to work on them, and there's about 20 years worth of history on there that I have to clean through. So with Paul wearing this watch every single day, I mean, literally he would wear it on the racetrack, in movies, out in public, wherever he would go. He literally wore this watch till about 1989, every single day of his life. His wife gave him this watch with the engraving on the back, "Drive carefully me," just to remind him to not do anything crazy out there on the racetrack. So there was this young guy at the time named James Cox, who was dating Paul Newman's daughter, Nell, and they were at their beach home one summer. And Paul asked James, "Hey, what time is it?" And James says, "I don't know. I don't have a watch." And believe it or not, now we look at it like, that's crazy. But I'm sure Paul was just like, "Yeah, I could get another one. It's fine." And he's becoming part of the family. Why not? And so he comes over to James and he says, here's a watch. If you wind it, it tells pretty good time. Well, James, Mr. Cox, kept that watch up until when he sold it. And the rest is history. We all know, sold for $17.8 million. Absolutely insane. The watch was essentially, nobody knew about the watch until it resurfaced at auction. So after we've done that little history lesson, let's talk about what we have in front of us today. So what we have here is the modern Paul Newman, with a little bit more glitz and glam than the one that Paul Newman wore back in the 60s and 70s. So this is reference number 116518LN. This watch retails for $30,600, but resale market, and whenever we give resale prices, what we talk about are watches that have sold this specific model, brand new, mint in box, unworn, with full set. As most of you watch guys know what that means, it comes with everything, within the last 6 months. So this watch within the last 6 months has resold for anywhere from $40,000 to $53,000. And honestly, just as a wannabe watch connoisseur or whatever you want to call me, just a big Rolex fan, I really think this watch is going to resell someday, eventually into the six figures. It's a beautiful piece. I really just see it long term. Again, long term, I'm not saying that this thing's going to be worth $100,000 tomorrow, but I can see 20, 30, 40 years down the line, you keep one of these in good conditions, I can see it going for six figures. Again, I'm sure if you look online right now, there's that many for sale. And as time goes by, again, it was just discontinued last month. Rolex, they started this new dial back in 2020 with the Oyster Flex and the all 18 karat case. They started it, released it in 2020, and it went for 3 years up until March 2023, last month or 2 months ago. So yeah, it's a pleasure. It's amazing having this watch here. Honestly, maybe one of the most beautiful watches that I've ever held. I'm very excited that one of our clients, yes, unfortunately it's sold. Sorry guys, but if you want one, feel free to email us. We'll try and find you one, although they don't come up that often. And they do come with a nice little price tag to them. But we're very excited and very lucky that one of our clients wanted one of these and that we were able to source it for them. It is, like I was saying, one of the most beautiful timepieces that I honestly have ever held. You would think that an 18 karat gold case, yellow gold case, is a little flashy, but honestly, it wears so well on the wrist. And like I said in my previous video, the Daytonas, they seem to wear so much smaller. And I think it's because so all Daytona cases are made just in one piece, whereas there are other ones that have multiple pieces to them. This specific model is just one piece. And it's a beautiful, beautiful timepiece. It's got the red second hand and then the smaller red markers on the edge of the dial. It's a black dial, like a matte black dial with gold subdials to it for the chronograph. It's just a beautiful Cerachrome bezel with yellow gold number markers on there. And the nice thing about the Cerachrome bezel, remember, it's ceramic. So a watch like this, if you're gonna enjoy it, you're gonna wear it. The last thing you want is to see scratches on that bezel. So shout out to Rolex for doing the ceramic. It's a lot more scratch resistant. I know some people say scratch proof. I don't know, we'll see. And then it comes with the Oyster Flex band. I love it. The Oyster Flex band, if you guys can tell, it's got a little tab on the inside that kind of raises it a little bit. If you've ever worn a watch with a rubber strap to it, you know that if it's hot outside or a little muggy, especially here in South Carolina in the Southeast, it gets very humid and your wrist starts to sweat a little bit, and it's like that rubber kind of sticks to your skin. And Rolex has kind of been a little bit innovative on that, to where this raises it a little bit off of your wrist so that it gives you a little bit more breathing room. It's got the micro adjustments on the inside of the clasp itself, which is nice. Still, if you have super small wrists like some of us do, it may fit a little loose, but it's very comfortable nonetheless. So it's got 4 markers on the inside of the case that let you know that it's 18 karat. Again, just an absolutely beautiful watch. It's a 40 millimeter case. You really can't go wrong. I can see myself owning one of these someday. It's a beautiful watch and something that is really a statement marker for your collection. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to subscribe. We're going to continue to upload awesome videos like this. If I can get my hands on an original Paul Newman, we'll definitely put it on here. We're just very excited to be able to talk about all these beautiful timepieces. And don't worry, I know that a lot of our videos have been about Rolexes, but we are going to cover anything from Citizen Eco Drive, Seikos, Grand Seikos, just a whole spectrum. We'll do some videos next on Panerais and Breitlings, which are nice. They're great watches. You really can't go wrong with those either. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button, and share it with your friends and family.